Good morning, San Miguel. It is Wednesday, May 27th. Let us remember that we're in the holy presence of God. The focus this week, my reflection, and the word of the week are fortitude. And I thought that I'd share some synonyms with you. Some of them you know very well. If someone shows backbone, they stand up and they persevere through challenge or difficulty. We say they are showing fortitude, constancy, fiber, grit, which you've heard before, grittiness, guts. Intestinal fortitude is a fancy way of saying guts. Pluck or spunk are old-time ways. An antonym, the opposite, would be spinelessness. So if you wilt when challenge comes, or the first time you feel even a small amount of pain, if you crumble and you can't endure it, then you're lacking fortitude. You're not showing it. So I wanted to share with you briefly this morning one example of somebody in the past who I admire for his ability to lead others with fortitude. His name is Ernest Shackleton, and he lived around the beginning of the 20th century. He was born in February of 1874, died in 1922. And his life was a mix of things. He got his education, and at that time, exploration of the world was still a very popular thing. So his job was kind of like scientist, documentarian. He wrote about the things that he saw on his travels. He made maps, but he was best known in history for an expedition he led to try to be the first person to cross the Antarctic through the South Pole. And ironically, he's not well known because he succeeded, but because of a failure in the expedition. So I'm going to show you some images about that. And it took great fortitude to get through it. When the crew went down to Antarctica, they were on a ship called the Endurance. And because the ice pack was so thick, they found themselves trapped in the ice in the middle of the bay near Antarctica. And eventually the ice shifted and moved and crushed the ship, making it unusable. So all these men were stuck on the ice in Antarctica before the time of cell phones and helicopters and all that. They had dogs with them, and the dogs helped to pull them to safety after the ship was completely ruined. So they marched with the dogs. They pulled small boats, which they knew they'd need to get off of Antarctica, across hundreds of miles of ice. And they kept their spirits up, and they figured a way to get through. And they built strange constructions to survive the cold of the wind. And I thought there was a cool picture down here. Let's see if I can find it. They actually had some fun too. They played soccer on the ice in Antarctica, and eventually they shoved off. Shackleton took several guys and in a small boat and traveled hundreds of miles across the ocean to get to South America. And from there, they were saved. And he came back and got his guys. And this is a picture of him. And he saved all of his men by coming back almost a half a year later to retrieve them after leaving. So it's a great story. There's some wonderful books. Some of you have already read about them, I'm sure. Before we close, I hope you continue your good work. Also, the special code word today and the image is this. So if you email this to my email, jwolf@sanmiguelprov.org, you'll be eligible for a special prize on Friday. Thanks to the guys, especially the sixth graders who shouted out, sent that email along to yesterday. So hope you have a great day. Thanks very much to the teachers and staff for keeping up the good work. And that's it. St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. San Miguel, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.